You cool to go.
Yeah.
And we're good. We're live. Hey guys, we're Team Bad Decisions, and we are back for another competitive corner. I'm kind of filling in for the normal guy Dan here, and so we won't be doing another game. The continuation of the game last week will probably happen at a future date, sometime going down the line. But I'm here with Eric. I think we're gonna discuss like everyone's been discussing ninth edition and kind of the stuff that GW is like turbocharging out there with everybody. When it comes to the latest stuff, did you see the new weapons platforms and the buggies for the Primaris Marines?
I did. I'm not sure I like the Super Mario Kart feel to them.
I saw a couple of those memes go out with the Super Mario Kart.
I mean, they're all right. I mean, they're not terrible, but I mean, the originalness of them are not there. They're kind of lackluster to me.
So I have on the stream in the background the Reanimator, the big robot dude, which is the newest thing that came out. That thing that came out today with the rules.
Yep. See, now that thing's cool.
It's cool and it's huge.
Yeah, so I guess the reason why these things are so big is to take advantage of the terrain in the new stuff coming out.
So they will help with the verticality, like being able to hit stuff on the second floor of stuff.
I think that, and also like the other one that they have with this is the giant cannon. It's got the Doomsday Art cannon on it, and one of the things that they were saying in there is basically you're not going to be able to hide from it. You know, it's over 5 inches tall, so it can peer over buildings, and it's going to get away from that kind of thing where being able to be shot at and vice versa.
And that's really cool and interesting to look at too, because this model, it looks to be the same parts as the spider used to have, except its legs, instead of being curled in like a spider, are fully extended, double jointed in the other direction, pushing the body of it up vertically in the air.
Yeah, there's some definitely pieces of I think both the spider involved in it, a little bit of destroyer. I don't know. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything going on in it, and it's a cool model.
Did they say at all what the orbs or this orb variant does?
No, they haven't talked about. They said it's pretty nasty in close combat, but other than that, they haven't talked much about it. It's pretty quiet. There was some stuff up on one of the Facebook groups, of the Necron Facebook group. I wonder if I can find that real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, they talked about some of the new stuff and the rumored stat lines and all that.
Yeah, I think they may both have the Nanoscarab reanimation beam, but that's the big release today. That in your command phase, so this is a pre-turn CP generation move. In that same phase, you can select one friendly dynasty unit within 9 inches of this model. So it's a 9-inch bubble, which is pretty big for when auras are involved. And then if you
especially being on a 60 mil base, it looks like, if not bigger.
Yeah, so you're looking at like 22 inches from touch to touch, the farthest ends of the spectrum. So the unit, while this unit is within 9 inches of the model, add 1 to reanimation protocol rolls made for that models in that unit. So when do reanimation protocols happen? Do they happen before movement?
At the end, or I think it's at the end of each phase. So I don't think maybe I don't know. That's changed, I think. What? No,
Uh,
Necrons has not been top. Let me pull it up.
yeah.
It's I think the last time I played against a Necron player was 7th edition.
Well, yeah. The last time I had it, it was still "We'll Be Back." So
Yes. Yeah,
that was
back in the day.
that was way back. But because that's an interesting thing that they wrote in there, and probably for a reason, is that the unit has to remain within 9 inches of the
Yeah, they still got at least big toe into the aura.
aura, yeah. And I don't envision this thing moving very fast. It may be a 6 inch, maybe a 5 inch movement on this thing that hasn't been released yet.
Start of each of your subsequent turns, reanimation
Okay.
protocols. So
Interesting, because unless they rewrite reanimation protocol for 9th edition, you're doing the reanimation protocol before you're getting the +1 to the next reanimation protocol.
theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, so you're actually like there's going to be some movement hampering in there because you're going to have to stay within the 9 inch bubble of this thing. If you move out, then you lose that
Yep.
+1 on the next roll that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I think this is a lot, or where a lot of the auras are going to switch to, is doing these pre-game things, where it might not affect everything within, like your lieutenants and grandmasters and all that. It might just be one unit now, which is great if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah.
It was,
You think it's
that's
gonna still stack a Death Star, kind of like what the end of 7th and the end of 8th edition became?
no, I think Death Stars are kind of like the end of the season, in my opinion. They don't seem to stick around very long when they do happen. Like, I mean, I think we're gonna see uh, the whole possessed bomb go away. Anything like that, it's just not going to be as viable because I mean, with the minuses to hit and all that being a blanket neg 1, like I mean, it could affect maybe potentially being neg 2. Like I was discussing, where there's some things that are out right now that are -2 ballistic skill and then minus to hit. So theoretically, that's -2, but we'll see. Like, I mean, there's so much gray area with this 9th edition stuff. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So there was also a faction focus that was brought out today, and they had like a how they play Necrons, which doesn't seem like they're changing how Necrons played from before. There's still going to be a very slower moving army, 24-inch range band, kind of control-y, and then you have to play that. Your stuff's more expensive on average per wound than almost any other army out there, so you got to play that point effectiveness battle where you're choosing your
Yeah.
targets wisely because you can't just throw something away like Tyranids can, where it's like, oh, there's a big unit, I'm just gonna throw 30-point gaunt 30-man squads at it until the game's over because I can throw away all these units. There's not really a throwaway unit in the Necron line.
No, there never has been. I mean, maybe Scarabs, but at the rate the way they're sounding, with their lore at least, they're gonna be a little nasty too. They were saying that they could tear armor off and all that. So I mean, who knows if that means mortal wound output on 6s? If there's gonna be these like those little hunchback Goomba dudes that are gonna affect them more. I mean, there's a lot with all these new models and where they're going with it.
Yeah, they brought up a good point. It's on the screen now that things that the Necrons had that they're going to have again just got better with the idea that Necrons already have a kind of vehicle heavy list to begin with. And things like Solar Fury, which means that your weapons get an extra -1 armor penetration when you're at half range. And in 9th edition, vehicles can shoot in close combat. If you're in close combat, you're within half range.
Yep.
If you think that like it would almost be great against a knight, charge your vehicles with quantum shielding into a knight, because the knight can't use his sword or his fist against you. He has to try and stomp you out.
Yeah, and with 14 wounds, that's pretty impossible to do in one turn.
Yeah. And then you're guaranteed a couple close combat blasts at that knight.
Yeah, that's what the Doomsday Arc and the what are they, the Ghost Arcs are gonna be pretty effective, and I think you're gonna potentially see some rushing with them instead of sitting in the far back lines doing what they already have been doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're walking in with 20 shots on your Ghost Arc, and at neg 2, that's pretty gross.
Ooh. Sorry, I am listening to you, but I'm also scrolling down the page to some of the new stuff. They reworded the Grand Illusion from the Deceiver Citan shard. So it used to be that the Citan and D3 friendly Necron units could redeploy.
Yes.
Now it looks like it still happens before the first battle round, or at the beginning of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins. So you already,
the big, I think that's the big thing where they changed as far as the knowing after sees the initiative.
Yes, that is a huge change, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's not something I caught the first time I did this. But the second half changed too, that they can deploy anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 12 inches away from enemy models, but they cannot charge during the first turn.
That was there.
That was there? So they could they could front deploy, like you could put 30, like you could just, oh, okay. That's actually really gross.
Yeah, and it looks like Grand Illusion of the new one, it's almost exactly the same wording on this. Because in the Codex right now, it says at the beginning of the first battle round, but before first turn begins, you can remove the Citan shard of the Deceiver and or up to D3 other friendly Necron units from the battlefield and set them up anywhere more than 12 inches away. They can't charge. So it sounds like the same. I think they're just trying to amp it up a little. You know, I mean, I don't know what their ultimate goal is here.
Now, don't you think that's really risky, though, with the can't charge first turn thing? Like,
in a way. So, okay, I think this is where they're going with this. So the new Necron Warrior range is 14 inches for the new Strength 5 Neg 2 1 damage gun. So theoretically, you're starting 12 inches away. You have a 5-inch move. You're technically 7 inches away. Whether or not, you know, they're that nitpicky or whatever. And there's that other, there's another dynasty that gives plus 6 inches to range. So that it's a rapid fire weapon. So
I see that point, Net. I see that's a good point. Do you also think that, like, say I was dropping, because they had that stratagem for the 3 Doom Scythe, if there was a Tau army and they knew I was going to use that stratagem and they deploy outside of the Doom Scythe's range turn 1, you think that the Deceiver could, if I hot rolled that 3, could put all 3 Doom Scythes close so that I could shoot that off turn 1?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big what if, though. That's a 33% chance on the D3, and you had to set all that up to have 3 Doom Scythes and the Deceiver. But
yeah, I mean, that's kind of a common thing right now. I mean, people I think are more running Nightbringer over Deceiver, or just your standard shards. But there was a guy at the Michigan G2 who was running Deceiver, and basically it was if he went first, he moved up. I think it was 3 squads of warriors and just rapid fired everything. And if he didn't go first, he then put out scarabs to block the potential of being assaulted or null deploying all that and getting board control.
Yeah.
So it gives you options, you know, especially Now these new scarabs look even smaller than they were before height wise.
Ooh, I didn't see that. They have a
Yeah,
couple pictures up there.
yeah, I think there's 6 new scarab bases, and they're not on those little itty bitty flight stands. They're just mounted.
Yeah. You look to be right. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have those flight. See, on that, there's one picture you just showed that had them still on their flight stands, and they don't have that anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Got it. Yeah, the one up here still did, but the earlier ones when they were showing them on the reanimator thing, the ones out of the new Indominus box don't have a flight stand to them.
Yeah, no, there's just more on a base, which I think look awesome.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just print bases with with the scarabs on them, and then you could just paint them that way. But that's just a
that way people can theme around their army and not be stuck with basing.
Is that a new Doom Scythe cannon? I don't seem to remember the cannon looking like that.
No, that looks exactly the same.
Okay, well, it tells how much I know about Necrons.
Yeah, it's not something. I mean, when it comes out, I'll be. This will be my next big buy, I think. So, that's my plan. I mean, I've got a huge Necron tattoo on my back. I've been playing them since they were a chapter approved army. Yeah.
An interesting thing here is that they gave the weapon profile of the Death Ray, which I don't think changed a whole lot. Still 24-inch range, which is standard for Necrons. Heavy D3, strength 10, -4 AP, D6 damage.
Yep.
Which is a decent anti-vehicle gun. You're going to pop rhinos. You're going to pop non-invulsave vehicles pretty reliably with this. But it also said in the Werner text that it's a blast weapon. But I don't see the blast keyword. So
I don't know if any of the stuff is going to have the blast keyword anymore, or it's just going to be in the back of the appendix with all 276 other blast weapons, which is obnoxious.
Yeah, I think that if they're gonna go through, and especially even if we're using our old codexes or whatever, that's fine. But if you're gonna publish new rules, on the website, hey, look at this gun, this is what this gun does. If it's a blast gun, throw blast in there, as a keyword.
So if you've got new rules coming out and you know that it's like you're saying the blast or a template or whatnot, because it sounds like templates might have something special too. Not sure yet. That's just a rumor I've overheard a couple times. But yeah, if you know it's there, put it in the profile. That way people don't have to scroll through 276 words to try to find their things.
Yeah. The other thing, I could check on it right now, is that I think with blast weapon, this is the first blast weapon I saw that's not a D6 weapon.
There's a couple other ones out there that are, and they haven't told us what they're doing with the D3s yet.
Yeah, because if it's the same rule, then a D3 blast weapon will just get max shots at 6 models.
Yeah. So what my guess is if they're doing it that way, that's probably gonna be the easiest way, is if there's 6 models to allow it to have 3 shots max, or if they're gonna have another bullet point of the smaller blast being, if you roll a 1 and there's 6 models in it, you get 2, and if there's 11, you get 3, which again I think is a bit absurd. You might as well still get your full shots.
So okay, this is just something off the top of my head. What is the wording on the Leman Russ or any vehicle squadron? I know you buy the unit of 3, right? But they act separately after they get deployed. They move separately. Yeah. Now, does that still count as I guess it's a unit of 3. It won't even trigger blast anyway. Never mind then. There's no...
Yeah,
because it's an anti-vehicle weapon. Strength 10, -4, D6 damage screams anti-vehicle to me. Or anti-monster. I don't know any vehicles or monsters that are going to trigger the blast to begin with.
No, because I don't think Sentinels can get up to 6.
No.
Um, yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's gonna trigger anything like that. It's the same with the Blast Masters are uh, D3 blast shots too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that got discussed on Saturday when I got a game in. Got to actually roll some dice. It was kind of nice.
Uh, so we got that going for us. We look at keep going down here. Necron Warriors. I love these new Necron Warrior sculpts.
The Warriors look amazing. There's a little bit of irritation, I think, with some of the lower people as far as Necrons aren't supposed to have battle damage because they just get fixed. So I think that's some of their issues with that. But in my opinion, they're
Yeah,
old, they're rusty, they're
they're
metal, they're gonna have debate.
they're
They're
in
gonna get
battle. Like you're
yes,
fighting right
they're
now.
gonna
Like what?
get shot.
You're
That's exactly it. They're getting shot right now. So yes, they have some scrapes. Get over it.
yeah, that like you're removing your guys as casualties. So right.
Yeah, or they're putting themselves back together to come back. I mean, you're not going to find all the pieces as it got blown off. Pretty sure Necron Warriors don't walk around with bottles of super glue in their pockets.
The Gauze Reaper.
Yeah, this is the new gun I was talking about.
So which gun is that? The double one that looks
That's
like
the double. Yep, that's going to be the double one.
Okay. So that's a 14-inch range gun, rapid fire 1. So that's weird. I don't necessarily like these whole like weird number profiles. Do you have a reason that they think they wouldn't make this 12 rapid fire 1, or I don't
know. No, the only thing I can think of is like using it with Deceiver.
Oh yeah, you could Deceiver them up.
Yeah, that's the only way I can see it. But
because
I don't know why.
And then we'll have to look at if this is an upgrade that every single Necron warrior can get, or if this is a max number of Reaper guns per unit.
Somebody was showing the sprue of warriors, and I think there was enough. Yeah, there's enough of both of them in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you could kit them either way, and I think you can interchange the kit as well. And the other thing that's cool about it is the box of warriors is 20 models now.
Oh.
So it's a 20-man warrior squad, which is interesting with GW standard of making boxes.
Yeah, because that's a full unit, right?
It's either a full unit or 2 minimum size squads.
Yeah.
Which is just a shocker to me.
Yeah. But that's interesting.
Well, I mean, you got to have them. It's like one of your only troop choices besides Immortals, unless Blade ones manage to get the troops.
That's another point. I pick your brain a little bit on it. Troop choices are going to take a little bit of a backseat, I think, in this new edition. Other than what they're good for on the field, they're no longer mandatory.
They're not mandatory, but I think you're still going to see them everywhere. I think I brought this up in one of the other chats I've been on recently here. But I think what it comes down to is what they're trying to do is make it so soup isn't as viable, or it's not a great idea to take because it's going to cost you more CPs. So, I mean, the way you were looking at it, your standard battalion, even right now, is 3 CP to buy it. And if your warlord is from there, you gain 3 CP back. So if you want to stay with that one battalion, you're going to start out with your 12 CP, maybe some extra depending on your characters and your warlord traits and all that. But if you want another battalion or an outrider detachment or whatnot, it's going to cost you additional CPs, which is going to take away from your pool. And and there's some armies that are really good with soup, like Demons and Chaos, and Imperial. And the problem with that is when you have to start paying CPs to to get the extra bonuses, you're not going to be able to use that fully with your stratagems. Like you've got to now pick and choose your strats a little bit better.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be as willy nilly.
Yeah, and like when you're already paying for soup, then do you buy that extra relic? Do you buy that extra warlord? Like
exactly
that little stuff that the synergies become more of a not an instant take, but an actual thought process of,
yep.
Do I do this or not?
Yeah, it's gonna be the same thing with like the greater demons. I mean, yeah, you can fit 3 greater demons into an army now, but is that viable really? Because I mean, now you're trying to make them all exalted. That's going to cost you an additional 3. You're not running any heralds or anything like that to get +1 strength to your models. You're not running princes for the extra psychic or extra hits or whatnot. Yeah, it could be devastating right off the get go when you think you can actually play soup and it's just not viable anymore. I think the mono factions are going to be far superior in this game type.
Yeah.
9. Yeah, I think you're going to see Necrons do really well. Nids will do real well. Things that don't need soup. Yeah, I mean your basic Marines could still do just fine, but you know, demons and chaos, they're not. I don't think you're going to see them both on the table as often as you're seeing them right now. Like in basically anytime you're playing against heretic army, it's probably got both.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to see them in the way the 8th edition was. You may see a full demon army with interwoven demon synergy. I don't know if there's a good, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's a good Space Marine army without demon synergy. I know there's a good demon army without Space Marine synergy.
You're talking for chaos?
Yeah, for chaos.
They all can be. It's just their role isn't as diverse. It doesn't hit all aspects of it. But I mean, like you can do just fine with Alpha Legion. But again, that's going to change with the way negatives hit. Emperor's Children do really well as a whole. World Eaters are going to do fine. Theoretically, this new Fabius Bile stuff that's coming out is going to be insane.
Well, I haven't heard about that. What's going on with the new Fabius Bile?
The basically it sounds the way people are making it sound. Just because I haven't gotten my hand on the actual copy of the book yet. I should get it Wednesday. As far as being able to get it from a source, but the it sounds like Fabius Bile's upgrades are gonna work in a generic army as well. So it sounds like he might be able to buff up World Eaters or Possessed and giving them extra strength or extra toughness or movement. I believe it's a chart, and he's gonna do some cool stuff to make some unique armies. And then there's extra advance and charge rolls, and when you start talking that with Red Corsairs and all that being able to run and charge, and or he's got a new stratagem in his book for running and charging.
Yeah, and did you see that Fabius Bile? Marcus was filling me in a little bit yesterday on the lore of the book, but he's no longer really with Nurgle anymore.
No, he's kind of off on his own.
Yeah, because he apparently found this Nurgle relic that he was looking for this whole time, grabbed it and said, "Peace, I'm out, thank you," and then pissed off the Death Guard. So the Death Guard are kind of hunting him. But
yeah, I think that's what this book is all about.
It may be just an aesthetic choice, but is there any importance? I'm not super familiar with Chaos, to the purple and gold trim armor that he's wearing. Like, is that a Slaanesh thing?
So, yes and no. As far as looking at it, it looks like it's just a regular Chaos star. On the side of it, but yeah, Slaanesh is purple too, but so is some of the Fallen, and there's a couple sub factions that also have it, like Flawless Host has got a purple shoulder pad.
Gotcha. So that makes sense. And then he
But
comes
his
with a
whole
little
armor is purple. I don't know if you see that. His legs are purple too.
yeah. And it looks like there's even the guy did purple on the underplating under his other shoulder, so it does look like, yeah, you're right. His whole armor carapace is purple.
Yeah, his other shoulder pad is covered in skin.
Yeah, you can only just barely see the arm part
His
under
arm
the shoulder.
Yep, his little gauntlet.
Yeah, and then
stick.
he has the cultist that is stealing the gene seed. It looks like of the Primaris Marine.
Yes, yeah. I'm a little curious what his role is going to be. They haven't released anything on him yet.
Gotcha. I don't think this has anything rules wise.
No, nothing. There's nothing been released rules wise on any of it besides his weapon, and a couple of the stratagems and all that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because that would be new Primaris Chaos or whatever chaos equivalent. Maybe they call him Exalted Chaos, or that would be.
I'm curious where they're going with it. And I'm excited. Being a Chaos fan myself.
Yeah. But we're going into now, just kind of working our way back. Your favorite model in the world, from what you've told me a little bit, the Invader ATV.
So I would assume that it's going to have multiple guns on the top that it can put on, besides just the chain gun.
Yeah, I think
I would hope.
If history proves right, you're probably going to have the chain gun, you'll probably have some sort of las cannon option, and maybe even a flamer option.
Yeah.
It would be crazy with the flamer. I would run these white scars with flamers all day, every day. And because if they have the vehicle keyword, they get to fire in close combat, and white scars get to fall back and charge.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm most looking forward to, is pulling my Blood Angels back out and running the 3 Flamer Predators.
Ooh, yeah. Does the Blood Angels are +1 to wound?
Yep.
But that's only close combat, right? You don't get +1 to wound on flamers?
Yeah, and I don't think vehicles get it either, but even so, I mean, you're talking 2d6 shots with a flame sword cannon up top and then 2 heavy flamers on the side. That's pretty gross.
And I'd be surprised, they didn't come out with it, but I'd be surprised if the flamers don't get some sort of blast or some equivalent to that kind of rule.
Yeah.
Because it seems silly to me that a frag grenade thrown by a guardsman is going to get 6 automatic hits on the Orc Horde, but the flamer of the guy standing next to him doesn't get any kind of bonus.
Exactly. Yeah, I think there's going to be something with it. They haven't led up to that or said anything between that, any of their releases on their website or their friendly daily podcast that they have. They haven't really said anything of their Twitch stream.
Now, the only reason I'd say that flamers probably won't get blast is that blast weapons can't be fired in close combat by the
Correct.
vehicle. And I think that they'll want to try and find a loophole that flamers not only get a benefit to hit, but they also can shoot in close combat when the vehicle's there.
Yes, that's what I'm assuming they're going to see.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. Now, I get that GW is all about their blue boys, but I don't think that this goes in an Ultramarine army. I think there's a lot of Space Marine armies that could utilize this kind of vehicle better than an Ultramarine list would be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think what you're going to, real quick with the Flamers, I think what we might see is similar to the Flamers of Tzeentch, where they're no longer going to be assault and they're going to be pistol weapons.
Oh, ooh.
Which would allow them all to be shot in close combat. That
would be really good.
Yeah, because that's why Flamers are so good right now.
But
Flamers of Tzeentch.
The issue with that on a vehicle is they're going to have to rewrite pistol weapons a little bit, because like if I have my Bane blade with a bunch of flamers on the sides, I can't fire as if I shoot the pistols, I can't fire any of the other guns because I can only shoot pistols, weapons, or other weapons, right?
Yes. Yeah, they'll have to do a little bit of rewording, I think, but that could be an option they have.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wish I was more involved in their rules and seeing their stuff.
It does say here that there is a multi-melta option for the Top Gun.
Okay.
At the Onslaught Gatling Cannon or a multi-melta to lay down some serious supporting firepower. I'm kind of...
Those might too.
Yeah, I'd be a little sad if they didn't have a flamer on it. For something that moves that fast, do I really want a multi-melta?
Maybe the bolters can be swapped out for them, or flamers.
Yeah, that would be interesting. How would you kit that out? Like, how would you personally do it?
I'd want to know the stats first.
Oh, got it.
That's big to me, because I mean, whether or not it's something that can withstand a punch in close combat and get away, or if it's a one-hit wonder kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because the way it looks is it's going to probably move as fast as a speeder, so you're talking 12 to 14 inches. It's not going to have negatives to hit because it's going to have the vehicle keyword. And it may just be a fast-moving unit, and it might be used in conjunction with the new outflank that they're talking about. So,
yeah,
they might have some kind of bonus to coming off a table edge with outflank. Who knows? Because we still don't know much about the outflank rule.
No, we don't at all. There's the speculation that it's turn 1 your deployment, turn 2 sides, turn 3 your opponent's deployment. But I mean, I have never really held on to any of my reserves till turn 3 in a game and felt comfortable about bringing them in. Like, I'm either winning by that point so handedly that I don't need them anyway, or I'm losing to the point that bringing them in is just going to get me smoked anyway. Like, it's maybe that'll change in 9th edition, or maybe not, but like turn 3 in a tournament setting, the game is almost decided at that point.
No, I would agree with that. It's like the game I had Saturday. I brought a couple units in turn 3, and it was close, but knowing that I had these extra units to hold on to, I didn't necessarily need them. It definitely turned the tide even more in my favor, but I ended up using mutilators for the first time since I think 6th edition when they first came out. Those things were kind of comical to play with.
Yeah.
They're not great. By all means, they're not great at all. But they beat up a Lord of Change because of hot dice rolling and playing Emperor's Children. I auto got them into combat with the Honor Thy Prince stratagem.
Nice.
Turns any of your dice rolls into a 6.
Oh, so wow. Okay.
Oh, look at that. I'm 9 inches away, and all I got to do is roll a 3+ on one of these 2 dice, and it's a guaranteed charge.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Then they have this accelerator autocannon or twin las Talon heavy weapons platform.
So these things look cool. They look kind of like similar to the tarantulas, except for instead of hitting on 5s, they're going to hit on 3s, if not 2s. My guess is probably 2s because the dude is looking through a servo skull.
Yeah,
that little telescope thing coming out of his eye is strictly for the servo skull.
Interesting. But the 2 things that stand out to me immediately is that they're not las cannons, they're las Talons, which means they're a different profile. So are las Talons?
I think their las Talons are in the game right now, but I don't know what they do.
Now, I thought the las Talon before was the one on the Dark Angel bikes. No, those are the plasma Talons.
It's got the Stormhawk has the like
Cool.
I don't know if I have the rules for it. It's somewhere in my ungodly amount of books on my phone,
You're good.
but if it's like the one, I think the Stormhawk one is the tri-mounted thing on the nose.
But so it's got to be different. The regular las cannon's what? Strength 9, AP -3, D6 damage. And then
It's what now?
the regular las cannon is strength 9, AP -3, D6 damage.
Yes.
Yeah. So the you'll find it in a second, but
So if it's on the same thing as on the Stormhawk Interceptor, the last talent on there is 24-inch range, heavy 2, strength 9, neg 3, d6 damage.
3 D6 damage.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
just
so
heavy
it's
2.
Yes, and it's a las cannon and only 24-inch range.
Okay, so if it's a twin las talon, that means each one of these things are putting out 4 shots.
Yes.
Ooh. At 24-inch range, that's kind of gross, but that the range just makes it kind of hard.
Yes. Yeah, and it's going to be a stationary platform, so it's not going to be able to move.
Yeah, and it probably has. I don't know. Do you think this thing has the infantry keyword or the vehicle keyword?
It would probably be. I don't know. I don't know if it's just going to be immobile, like the. There was something else that they were talking about with immobile vehicles and all that, and being able to shoot. It was just in their recent Twitch stream. I can't fully remember.
But yeah, I'm just thinking about for buildings, if I can put this dude on the 3rd floor in my deployment, you know? Because I'd hate if he's immobile, then he's probably got that same thing that the other immobile buildings have, where you auto hit it in close combat against him. I mean, he doesn't look like a very close combat oriented thing to begin with, but
no, but yeah, I mean, you could hide him on the bottom floor and still shoot out.
Yes, you could hide him on the bottom floor and still shoot out.
I mean, it's going to be a bane to some Imperial Knights or whatever coming out your throat. Like, you can't shoot me back, but I can shoot you.
Yeah. Do you think that an Imperial Knight, if this thing isn't screened though, an Imperial Knight can close 24 inches and charge this thing, but like from outside its range to touching it, you know?
Yeah, but if an Imperial Knight is just going after that in one turn, Space Marines aren't going to care about that.
Yeah, yeah. Now the golden question on my mind: you think these are one-off, or do you think you could take them in squadrons of 3? Do you think you're going to see 9 of these on the field, or just?
No, I think they're going to be individual.
And
I
then
think they'd be a bit much if they were squadrons.
What do you think the new points, 9th edition points? Speculation entirely, but
you're probably talking 150 points.
I would say that 150 to even 175, maybe, because everything's going up.
You're probably 4 or 5 wounds, T5, 2 up save.
Ooh, 2 up save.
It's a tech marine. It looks like a tech marine.
Okay.
In a way.
I'm surprised.
Bionicle arm. So I'm assuming these are tech marines running them similar to, your Thunderfire cannons.
Now, is this kind of GW's way of looking at you're still bringing Primaris armies, but you're still bringing bikes, and you're still bringing regular Thunderfire cannons, and you're still bringing these regular things. Let's give them to you as new models in the Primaris line to try and appease the holes that are going to be left when GW kind of closes that closet door on regular Space Marines.
Yes, in my opinion, these are the things that are coming out because the things that are these are going to be replacing. These other models are going to go to Legends. These you're going to see probably Tactical Marines go to Legends here real soon, just because nobody's running them anymore. So why keep them on there? And same thing with probably these normal bikes. I mean, you might even see chaos bikes go away here soon, which,
Yeah.
I mean, not many people are playing them. The aesthetics just doesn't play as good as other things do. So
Yeah.
if you're not selling them, might as well get rid of them and create more space for something else in the store that is selling. I mean, it's a good business thought,
Yeah.
and it's the best way to do it.
So, scrolling down, now we're in the Necron side of things. This heavy destroyer looks so cool.
They are awesome, and they are not replacing the other destroyers. So this is a whole new destroyer kit.
Yeah, the Locust, Hust heavy destroyers.
Yeah, and they're going to have multiple different guns. You're going to see, I think this is the anti-vehicle one, and the one that we saw in the first preview of the giant picture of everything was anti-infantry.
Now, these guys, I think the destroyer line already ignored moving and firing heavy weapons, but
yes,
they don't have infantry, I don't think, on their keyword, so they'd move and ignore firing all heavy weapons now.
I think they had infantry, maybe.
I may be wrong. Again, I'm just kind of new to the whole Necron thing.
Yeah.
But
I think they had infantry keyword. They were one of the weird ones that I was shocked had the keyword.
Because they had fly, so they can go up in ruins anyway.
Destroyers were infantry.
Oh, wow. Okay. And this may also pave the way to an all-destroyer list, because now you have more than destroyers, heavy destroyers, and the destroyer lords. You have these guys, you've got different variants of these guys, and the three-legged melee guys, they're destroyers too, right?
They're a type of them, yes. They're kind of a cross between the flayed ones and destroyers.
But if they have the
spiders.
destroyer keyword, then they still get buffed by the destroyer lord, right?
Yes.
That would do some crazy stuff because the destroyer one is +1 hit, +1 wound.
Yeah, the destroyer lord has. I don't know if he's got anything that's actually just for destroyers. No, it's just dynasty as well. He doesn't give anything special.
Oh,
It's just you can reroll one hit rolls of 1 for him, and reroll once for models within 6 inches of him. Destroyers and heavy destroyers. Oh no, it is destroyers and heavy destroyers.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
gotcha.
But it specifically says destroyers and heavy destroyers, so they might have to reword him. Or with that new lord coming out with the 3-legged monster dude, he might do something special too.
That is pretty cool. Yep. And then, just like you said earlier, the big gun variant of the Canoptech with the Doom cannon on it.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a sharp looking model.
Yeah, I don't know. The cannon looks misplaced. It's like it caught the cannon when it fell off of a Doomsday Ark. Like the Doomsday Ark just dropped it, and it just happened to land on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it shoots, it might need some extra legs to help stabilize the firepower coming off that monster. But
that would be an interesting rule. That like if it like
over.
Maybe it's an orc rule, not so much a Necron rule, but a cannon so big that it moves D6 backwards in the direction away from where it shot, just because it gets blasted back.
Yeah, and then they can't stand up because this thing's got T-Rex arms.
Yeah. Man,
no, it's cool. I'm curious to see where a lot of these new models go. Like I said, I've always had a love for Necrons until 5th edition hit, and then they kind of got a bit lackluster. And then I was intrigued with them again, and then the new book came out, and it was nothing really changed about them. So I was like, okay, I'll wait again. And now they're getting some cool stuff. So
yeah, I'm a little disappointed that they brought back such a lore heavy object in Blackstone, but they gave it the rule that casters are -1 to cast within 12 inches of it, and then the guy that like spider that's dragging it around, or the guy dragging it around, gets to deny the witch.
Yes.
but that just seems so like for a thing that could like potentially close the eye of terror when you throw it into it, and it just like makes some casters not have to smite on sixes. Like it seems like it could like be it could be better. And for an army that has no psychic presence really to begin with, giving them a tool to try and deny, make it a little more reliable. Make
Yeah, it's tough because does the army really need denying or psychic or anti-psychic stuff? I mean, they talked about some of these newer models are going to have the ability to debuff or potentially deny, but they get to get back up. No other army gets that. So I mean, yeah, they're a little bit more points costly, but they have at least a 33% chance of standing back up at the end of the at the start of the next turn,
if not
which is
better, like
huge. Yeah,
when
it
you
would
buff
start
it
adding
and
these
then
dudes, and then the monolith or whatever to resuck them through to get it again, or the resurrection or yeah, there's a lot of options that you can get to give bonuses to will be backs or rerolling ones to will be backs, and it can be pretty devastating if you're playing Silver Tide against Marines and silver and you lose 15 dudes, spend some CP to make them stay there, and then you get 13 of them back in one turn. So it's like they wasted a whole turn shooting at them and didn't do anything.
so I like that point, and that makes a great point to it. Is that how you would build if you were building Necrons? Would you go max size units to try and guarantee your will be back?
So I don't know. Um, if I'm going for my play style, I probably would have as few warriors or troops as needed, just because I prefer assault based, and I think with these new destroyers, the three-legged destroyers and all that, and the destroyer lord and flayed ones and everything else coming out, I think you're gonna see a play for an assault based Necron army. How good it would be, I don't know. You're gonna have to wait for the rules, but I think that's personally where I'm looking for. Um, just because I've always enjoyed assault. I think shooting is boring. It doesn't require a whole lot of brain thought to figure out what you're gonna do. And you when you're shooting and you've got distance between you, you already know what your target priorities are. When you're in assault and you've got to tie stuff up, or you've got to hit things and hopefully not kill things, or kill things in order to combat or bounce off into something else, it's a lot more thinking involved in an assault army. And I feel a lot better uh, with, I think, my knowledge of the way the game works to play an assault army. It makes me think more instead of just going, okay, I'm playing Raven Guard with 3 units of snipers, 3 squads of eliminators, a couple repulsors, and some centurions and aggressors. It's like that. Okay, that's what everybody's doing. Great. Let's see something new. So
Yeah, yeah. So, looking at it now, the next thing that kind of comes in is this: we're looking at aircraft and strategic reserves. The idea that your airplanes weren't able to in Eighth Edition fly off the board and then come back. But do you think that this is viable? Like, I'm not sure there's any case in which I'd want to do this.
um, it is. I have been able to kill flyers without ever damaging them. Playing my Slanesh demons just because I have the board control to cover the table where they're flying, and they can't move there. They can't, so they just crash and burn. Um, I've locked them into combat with Helldrakes before and had Scarbrand close. Um, there's definitely reasons to do this, and one of the other ones is it makes bombing runs actually effective. So you have your Night Shroud bomber for Necrons, or the Dark Eldar bomber, where they fly over and they kind of get themselves out of position to bomb a really important unit, and then they've got to make some turns to come back on the table to be effective again. This is, I bombed, I'm off the table. The next turn, I'm plopping right back right here. And the way this is also working is it's going to benefit them as far as the way the terrain works. So, you have infantry, and a lot of the terrain even GW makes is only 3 walls. So normally the backside is always open, so you can get your hands inside of it and move things around. So if the building's over 5 inches tall, the aircraft can't see the models in there, but the models can see the aircraft. You fly off the table and say, oh, okay, now I'm placing it behind the building. I've got free reign to shoot the dudes inside.
Now
because I can actually line of sight them.
You've thrown out this 5-inch thing. Was that published somewhere?
Yes, they said it in one of their Twitch streams.
Got it.
Last week.
Okay, and what is that in? Like, what does that pertain? Like, what is with the 5-inch thing?
Basically, if a building is 5 inches or taller, if you can't shoot through it, like a Imperial Knight can't shoot through it, but everything can still shoot at the Imperial Knight.
You mean shoot from inside the building, out of the building?
Yes.
The Imperial Knight can't shoot through it, as in target things on the other side?
Correct.
And even like partially covered stuff, like if I got my Rhino like half covered by the back of that building, the Knight can't shoot it?
Something with it. I think that's something that they're going to be in their cool appendix. But as what they've said right now, and there's all sorts of memes going on as far as even Riptides hiding behind walls and all that. And an Imperial Knight can't shoot at them, yet they can see it as plain as day. And they both can see it. They're both almost as tall as each other.
That is rough, because a Riptide can fit in a GW building. A Knight can't really fit in a GW building. Ooh, so that's rough.
There's going to be some cool things with these new buildings. I definitely am going to enjoy it. I've always thought 8th edition, the terrain has just been garbage. Just hot garbage. There was never really a need for it. I felt like it was an obstacle in a lot of the games that you were never really using it. It didn't give you any great bonuses. Now that they're talking some of these heavy, I mean, it was light terrain and heavy terrain now is giving cover saves for melee. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, just imagine a melee army now being able to go, no, Khorne Berserkers, I'm now locked in combat, and now I've got a 2+ save.
I'm just thinking also to like the Michigan GT. One of the things I loved about the Michigan GT is that there was a lot of terrain on the boards that made the boards feel lively and full of stuff. But if there's going to be 5 or 6 buildings on the board, the game I feel is going to be, I'm going to put my entire army in 2 buildings. You're going to put your entire army in 2 buildings, and we're not going to be able to shoot at each other.
So I think infantry and all that can still shoot through a certain number of inches. I can't remember fully of how they're playing it out. But there's going to be a lot more pregame stuff as far as what each building is going to be classified as. You're going to see a lot of, think of these giant, LVO, Bay, Nova, Michigan GT, Glass City, all these monster events that are going to end up having to go. We're going to have predetermined terrain, as far as we're going to have 2 light ruins, 2 heavy ruins, a bunker, because bunkers now do things. And especially if it's a bunker with heavy terrain, there's stuff that there's unstable terrain now. So theoretically, ruins are going to be classified as unstable and be able to be knocked down and crush dudes inside, kind of like the old bastions used to be like, where if you killed
that's
bastion,
interesting.
it would crumble and kill things inside of it.
So the Knight
terrain's going to be huge.
The Knight will say, "Yeah, I can't shoot at you, but I'm going to blow the building up." And then you're going to...
Yeah, there's theoretically the ability to crumble a building is what my guesstimate is. Yeah, because they talked about unstable buildings. That might be dangerous terrain. We don't know. But if dangerous terrain is coming back, that's huge too. Once models die, that's big.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that is huge.
I just like that's what I miss about seventh edition the most is the way the terrain influenced the outcome of the game. It was actually part of the game. It wasn't just there for making the board look pretty. That's what I feel like it is right now. I've got some really sweet terrain on there, but it doesn't really do anything. I have some stuff that blocks line of sight, but +1 cover doesn't mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and yeah, the only time it really ever meant anything was legitimately for line of sight blocking. There's so
Yeah.
much Neg 2 AP stuff out there right now that who cares about +1 save?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's an interesting thing in the plane stuff though, the freedom of the skies. I'll read a couple of them, then I'll say what my interesting thought is. And then models can move within an enemy aircraft's engagement range. I think engagement range is a really interesting thing. Do you think it's going to be like the melee ranges in Age of Sigmar, where some weapons have a 2-inch range, some weapons have a 1-inch range?
They've talked about engagement range. Engagement range is 1 inch. So it's going to be, as long as you're within 1 inch of something, you are classified as engaged.
Oh.
So that was something that they had back in 5th and 6th edition, where it was whether or not a unit was locked in combat or if they were engaged. So there were certain rules that affected engaging and all that. So it was hard to define what was engaged. So now they're actually defining engaged, 12 years later.
So does this mean that you could move into combat without charging?
An aircraft, yes. As far as the other models, not to my knowledge.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But yeah, it could be. I mean, it's gonna show where the stratagem that they leaked, the 1 CP pick unit that wants to run away, any models that are and you're a unit that you're engaged with, roll a d6 4 on a 6, they take a mortal. So that there's gonna be stratagems now that are specifically made for engagement.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, the aircraft stuff is really kind of neat as far as the being able to move over the bases and being able to being legitimately able to now touch a flying stand and not just be blocked by it.
So, yeah, you can move over the bases, you can move through the bases. I don't think you could stop on the base, right?
No, you cannot stop on the base yet.
So can
sense.
Can you still block charges off by just parking your plane right in front of the model so that the other models can't be placed?
You would have to block them as if your models are now base to base with your flyer. But if there's range for another base to fit in between there, by all means they can charge it.
Yeah, I would agree, but that may still be a tactic if you have lined your planes up. Like if I know you're going to try and turn one charge me, that during deployment,
it's going to be a lot harder to do.
Yeah, it'll be harder to do. I agree, and you still probably could get the charge off. Like you still probably could put 1 or 2 guys around the big fat base to lock them in combat, but you won't be. I could at least mitigate some of that 30-man Zint or 30-man Slaanesh wave that's gonna crash into me turn 1 on a smaller board anyway.
Yes. Yeah, there's ways that you're going to be able to mitigate it a little bit. I still don't know how well it's going to work. I think it's definitely the main issue that they had before is you couldn't move within an inch of them, so you were able to separate your planes 3 inches apart,
push all that stuff out,
and nothing could charge through that 3-inch gap because most bases were 32 mil. So when you start pushing everybody out, and you've got 9 planes at 6.5 or 6 inches wide or 5.5 inches wide, plus the 3 times the 6. I mean, or times 9. I mean that could theoretically be the board, and that was all they would do as far as the Eldar flying circus is they'd move one, and with the fact that they could pivot twice.
Yeah, you just go back and forth in a straight line because you just go 90 and then 90.
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing that they're trying to do as far as the flying off the table and being redeployed and all that, and the positioning is most aircrafts when they were inside the game or flyers, they were just doing figure eights on the table. So they became really not as interactive as a flyer should be in a battlefield.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't like we talked about earlier that by turn 3 things are almost like they're already decided mostly in a lot of my games. Giving up a whole turn of shooting with say Hemlock Wraithfighter or another Eldar like shooty flyer, I don't want to do that. But I guess the Eldar flyers have enough turning that they're never going to fly off the board anyway. So
most of them do, yeah.
I would think more than for a Space Marine flyer. You don't see a whole lot of Space Marine flyers anyway. Helldrakes get around it.
Well, Helldrakes are not going to be classified as aircrafts.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, you're right. I'm saying Helldrakes got around this whole thing. They're good. Tyranids aren't going to be aircrafts, right? They're monsters.
Nope. They're monstrous flying creatures, just like the Helldrakes are. They're just going to have some crazy movements.
I wonder how shooting the spore mines, because they have the flyer that shoots spore mines, will work in close combat.
That one I don't know.
Because it would be interesting to just like charge Guilliman and then mortal wound him to death because you just unload 2d3 spore mines into him from close combat.
There you go. Yeah, it could be funny. Yeah, there's gonna be some interesting things that these abilities are gonna have. Yeah, I definitely like the new flyer rules. I definitely like that they're making them feel more like airplanes than just things flying around the table randomly. I do like that they have the ability to redeploy. So you get out, basically you're just in a bad position or you deploy just terribly wrong, that you have the ability to fix it.
Yeah. Now, one thing I think that is not a great idea that they did with this aircraft list, why did they choose to put it in alphabetical order and not army order?
That I don't know. But that's going to be the same thing that they did for the blast templates too. I can almost guarantee that all 276 of them are in alphabetical order.
Which is just
and it's going to make me
asinine.
Smash my face on the book trying to find things.
Because I can't just go to the Eldar section and see all the Eldar weapons. I have to look up each one individually. But
just make it easy.
This, I think it's a strategic move, though. If they purposely don't make the in-print easy, they're going to force people to the digital copy on their app.
Yeah.
Because I bet all this stuff is a keyword that's clickable on their digital copies that goes back and forth to all the instant stuff, and it's all real nice and easy on digital, but it's going to be terrible in paper.
Yeah, I definitely think that the way they're doing their books, as far as giving, if you buy the hardback, you're getting a digital copy as well, is amazing. It's gonna cut back a lot on the necessity of having to bring books, or these TOs enforcing you got to have the book because I got the book, but I also got this thing from GW, so why can't I use this? Why are you telling me this is not allowed?
Yeah, I think the only precedent that GW stuff not being allowed at a GW tournament is the dice rolling app. I think there's still times that people didn't allow the GW dice rolling app at tournaments, even if it was a GW thing. But that's its own kind of can of worms.
Yeah, that was when you have any kind of random dice rolling app like that, their effectiveness isn't there. There's something inside the coding on there that could make your dice even super hot or super cold. Even like there's the dice app on Tabletop Simulator. You can go in there and change the coding on that, and with relative ease to make it so you're rolling better than you should be rolling.
Yeah,
and that's a problem. It's too easy to screw with software. So the one thing that I do like, though, like I was saying with the books, with the digital copy, that means these FAQs that are coming out, they should be fixing them in the digital book as well.
yeah.
That way I'm not having to go, oh, hold on, I have to go check GW's FAQs on their Facebook page or on their web page, but don't, that's technically against your guys' policy because it's not a written book. It's not.
Did you catch this little 7th edition nod on the Sunshark bomber? The Tau Flyer that used to give unlimited drones in 7th edition because it would drop drones and then come back with more drones, drop drones, fly off, come back with more drones. That the drones.
Those were the piranhas. The
piranhas. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Then.
Yeah, the Sunshark is the only one that has 2 gun drones on the side.
Gotcha.
So there's the Razor Shark and then the Sunshark, which are the same kit. The new one from Forge World, or not Forge World, but the new one from GW. One of them's got I believe it's marker lights on it, and the other one has drones.
So with the drones not having the aircraft keyword, if that plane flies off, the bomber flies off the board, did the drones die?
No, I think they're kind of, my assumption is that they're going to be the same as like the any of the other, the Hammerhead, the Devilfish, the Skyray, where they're considered to be passengers. So if the thing blows up, you roll to see if they take mortals as well.
Gotcha.
And they just fall off basically.
Gotcha.
I think they're not going to really do anything different with them.
I hope GW's been doing a lot to fix things that they see are not right, and I hope they do something to drones. Just do something to them. I don't think they're working as intended.
No, but I think the way 9th is going, it's not going to be as prevalent to see that. I mean, if you're talking, my assumption with losing 25% of the table edge and seeing that the 2 units that they posted up on their page being Cultists and Intercessors, I believe was the other one, they've both gone up at least 25% points cost. Cultists went up 33. So you're talking, if you're losing 25 to 33% of your army, that's 35 drones. If you're running 3 Riptides, and if you want to keep them, you're not running 3 Riptides. So
yeah,
that spam it's just not there anymore, and it's not gonna be there.
Oh, so because they did publish now Necron Warrior, the new points for Necron Warriors too.
They're 12 points now.
Yeah, did that go up for?
They were 11.
They were 11. Oh, so that's not that much. They didn't get hit with that nerf hammer as bad.
No, but they were already super expensive for a 4+ saving throw T4 model with 1 attack.
Yeah, I agree. But this may lead to a precedent that not everything is going up 25%.
Yes. What I think you're going to see that is going to go up 25% is the things that are being used the most. So you're talking gun drones, your Riptides, Demon Princes, Disco Lords, probably Possessed because they're stupid. They're just a little too good right now.
But
Cultists are going to go up, and I don't think it's just going to be troops that are going up.
I agree. Do you think Possessed are going to... Because Possessed are going to be hurt a little bit by the idea that Soup is going to kind of go away. Because they won't have the buffs from the Demon... I mean, if you're doing the Slaanesh flavor or the Nurgle flavor, whichever one you won't have those demons to back you up. without paying the CP for it.
But you don't need that, because if you're playing with Fabius, he gives +1 strength now too.
Oh,
You know?
okay.
There's all sorts of these random silly things that, so I mean, you're not gonna have access. So if you're doing like the possessed bomb, you're not gonna have access to the plus ungodly to wound and all that. But you're not gonna have that anyway with 9th edition. Like the virulence blessing and the Dark Apostles blessing or prayer. They're not. There's just no stacking it anymore. So when you start taking those away, yes, possessed get hurt, but when you really start thinking about it, and this is kind of what I was bringing a point up to on Saturday with the other person I was playing, the possessed are still right now only 1 point more than berserkers, yet still do just as much damage as berserkers.
That's rough.
And they have 2 wounds, a 5+ embalm, and an extra AP on armor penetration. So they're still really good without any buffs.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So yeah, I mean, at 17 points a pop, they're well worth their points right now.
All right. Well, what do you think? I think the last topic would be, what do you think's next? What do you think they're going to bring out, or they're going to talk about next for the new edition?
So, we still haven't really fully talked about close combat yet. That's still very vague. Psychic is still very vague. This week we get the War of the Spider, and my assumption is 2 weeks after that you're talking pre-order for the new release.
Because War of the Spider is the last book, right?
Yes.
Huh. I was a little underwhelmed.
Yeah, I thought there was supposed to be one other book, but I guess that probably got nixed or whatever, because I thought there was a Tyranid book too, but
I'm a little surprised that there's not a big release. Like Ynnari was a whole new faction at the end of 7th. Guilliman was huge going into 8th edition. Like, it just seems kind of like maybe it was the COVID-19 thing kind of petered the steam out, but it seemed like they were building to something. But the thing they were building for was the new edition, and it wasn't a climax to the previous edition.
So, yeah, on a business level, and I think this is where everything kind of ended up getting pushed. So normally when they came, if you were to go back and look at all the previous 8 editions, the release of all of them was October, November. Usually it was out the first week of October, and then you had your FAQ end of November, early December, or your chapter approved now was what we're doing now. But I think what happened is, since they've lost 2.5 months of sales, they said, screw it, let's start off with a bang, let's get our sales just booming right now, which is smart on their end. And they just pushed for this edition to come out, and that's why we're getting every 2 weeks we're getting a new 9th edition or a new Codex or Psychic Awakening to bring us into 9th, and we're losing all of that amp up. And as far as we're not seeing the progression of the meta changing as we're moving into it, we're just getting it all dumped on us at once.
Yeah.
There's no tournaments right now, so nobody's watching how the Possessed could have changed things, and how the new Space Wolves were rock stars for a little bit, and Fabius Bio might be the new hot thing, and we didn't see any of the demons. Like, I mean, even the demons, and there's a lot of stuff in that book that is really good, but we're not seeing it. Just because there's no tournaments, nobody's streaming it. It's just people just aren't getting together right now to play. Nothing's really open, and watching things on tabletop simulators just not the same.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know,
But
it's a great thing to use while we can't do anything, but you know, like I said, I got the chance to roll dice, and I went out and I rolled dice. So
yeah,
you know, I'm waiting for our local game stores to open, and I'll be up there as often as I can to roll dice and start learning, especially with Buckeyes right around the corner.
yeah. Any news? Any news on that? Like on when stores are opening up in your area?
Some already are. Um, Cobblestone Hobby, or I think it's Cobblestone Hobbies over on the west coast of Michigan. They opened last week, and they're doing every Friday. They're doing open play, and it looks like they're not requiring masks even, which I was kind of surprised. Um, but I think our local game store, I'm going to go in and probably have a chat with them today or tomorrow and see what's going on. Um, just because we're at the point of where it's safe to be opening.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
You know, with precautions.
cool. I think if you're good, I'm good on content today. I think we'll have a slew of new content coming out for next week's show because it seems like GW's popping a new thing out almost every day, if not every other day. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to like, leave a comment, subscribe. Join us at our next Twitch. We have shows on Monday, Friday, and Saturday. Our competitive corner on Mondays, our lore-based show, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time for both of those on Fridays, and a 1 o'clock hobby time show on Saturdays, which is kind of a conglomeration of everything that we do in the 40K hobby, from display boards to what to bring to tournaments to how to tell if someone's cheating you to conversion stuff, painting stuff. Everything's in hobby time. We'd love to see you, to hang out with you and talk to you in chat. But until then, thank you, Eric, for joining me on this competitive corner show.
Definitely.
And I hope all you guys stay safe out there.
Yeah, I'll be back on Saturday.
Have a good one.
Later, guys.